Hi, just to clarify things concerning the topic essay, what you have to write for the topic, and the regulations concerning what you can do, what you cannot do, etc., etc. Notice that in Annex 8 of Comunidad de Madrid, Madrid Autonomous Region, you have the regulations concerning the different panels and how the candidates need to see what they need to do. So you have all the when you will be called, the order, etc., etc. What I would like to consider is and stress and highlight is the following. Point number 6. The written part needs to be anonymous. That is why, in order to ensure that there is no way for the members of the panel to know who the person is they are correcting the exam of, you cannot include any marks, any signature. I would like to stress what it says here, right? This part. Notice that you cannot, the writing will be read by the members of the panel, and so you cannot include anything with your name, any kind of mark, etc., etc. That's what it says concerning point number 6. If we move to what it says concerning point number 7, when you are doing the writing, that would include part A and part B of the first part, okay, you need to use a pen, a ball pen, okay, it doesn't have to be just any ball pen, which is blue or black, okay. 1 minute, because this got a little bit, so I'll stress this is blue or black, better black, but it doesn't matter. So please bring or take with you at least 2 pens to make sure that you don't run out of ink. Ball pens, not those you can click, but rather, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be big, it can be any other one, any other make. And now we're going to focus on section number 8. Here, as we can see, concerning the first part, follow the instructions, but you should not write any, you should not have any spelling mistakes. However, notice that in general, and this is for all the subjects, not only for English, for all the subjects, it is not, okay, a spelling mistake, okay. Number A, it says no constituirá falta de ortografía, no spelling mistakes when you separate words correctly. I would not recommend you doing that in English, okay. But you can use, for example, el uso correcto de la raya, ya sea como signo doble, en enumeraciones. So you can use this if you want to enumerate. You can also use inverted commas, okay, to cite the title, okay. It says not to cite books, etc. So when you cite books, etc., you can use underlining, okay. So what it is allowed to use dashes, okay, to enumerate things. It is correct to use inverted commas for titles of books or articles, etc., etc. this is within the publication, but if you want to use to cite titles of books, you need to underline it. Okay, so titles, I insist, title of books underlined. Citing something, inverted commas. Okay, you don't have to write pages or anything like that. It doesn't say anything about that. I'll go over this in in another part. Okay, of course you cannot use any devices which are connected to the internet, smartphones, etc. I do recommend you use a clock or a watch, a normal one. And then when you need to cross things out, you will follow the indications. The normal thing, my recommendation, the general recommendation is that you may put it in brackets and then just cross it. Or sometimes they also recommend you do this, but just this, so that is clear. Okay, do not go like that. This should not be done. Okay, so not this, but the either a bracket and a line, or at the very most bracket and a cross to make it clear. One other thing I would recommend is that if you are writing and you need to insert something, I would use something like this, and then in here you would include the writing. Okay, please read this section in detail and notice that you need to follow these instructions. This is important. You cannot write your name or any indication in the papers you present, you write, you draft your essay on. Focus on this aspect. These are important. Okay. Notice that I'm going to insist on this. In the first part, well, this is the second part, or the topic is the second part, but you will write, you will mark. Another important thing is that you need to mark, to number the pages, 1, 2, 3, etc. And you should do it at the bottom of the page. So you would write 1, and it would be a nice thing to say 1 out of, let's say that you have 10 pages, so 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, etc. Okay, so that it's clear the number of pages you are including for correction. What else? Basically, that would be it. This is the part B. This is what we are talking about. So what else can you do? This is for the topic, and this is what I would like to stress here. Concerning abbreviations, this is also something which is mentioned under the general indications. Okay, notice that if you make a mistake, they're going to knock off 0.25 of the total mark. In English, I would not recommend you separate, as I said before, the syllables within a word. If you have no room to include a word in a line, put it in a different line. My recommendation as well is that you leave enough room between lines so that if you need to insert something, there is enough room. For example, let's say that you write here whatever, and then the following line, instead of going immediately after it, I would separate them so that if you need to include something, as I said, you can include it here. Okay? Concerning the abbreviations, notice that the indications here state that you should not use personal abbreviations, okay? So because, for example, in our case, it shouldn't be either cause or that's not allowed, okay? Not cause, for example, or this, no. This should be no, okay? Don't do it. However, abbreviations of the type Common European Framework of Reference, for example, are allowed. Another thing, other elements that are allowed, for example, when you write examples, this is standard practice in English, e.g., for examples, i.e., for explanations, when you're going to explain something. This is perfectly fine. As, for example, if you need to use Old English and then you mention it at the beginning, this is standard practice. This is fine. I insist, what you cannot use is personal abbreviations or the type of abbreviations we use in WhatsApp communication or SMSs or things like that. Okay? Right. Please pay attention to this. Finally, yes, I would like to stress the fact that following the indications in the assessment criteria for English, the citations in the essay, you are going to cite, you may refer to according to Halliday, according to Quirk, according to Biber, Downing, etc., etc. And you are not going to reflect the exact words because we don't usually remember. So that's not really, I mean, you can say according to, but you're not going to reflect the exact words. If you do, you don't need to mention the page number. I'll talk about this when I deal with the syllabus design, okay? So, to clarify, no spelling mistakes, significance of revising everything. Spelling mistakes will be penalized. You may use underlining for when you refer to a work by an author. Underlining. Use inverted commas if you are citing. And do not use abbreviations that are personal, but you can use abbreviations when they are the standard practice in the language, in English in our case, right? And I believe that with this, you got all the recommendations. I insist, read this Annex 8 in detail. Any questions, ask in the